Hi, I'm Alex Paul with Open Systems Media and Embedded Computing, and I'm here at the Things Conference in Amsterdam with Flavia Nardini. She's with Fleet Space. Now, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, when I hear the word fleet space, I'm either thinking like lots of parking space for trucks or something involving outer space.
I think it's the second one.
There you go. So, outer space. Now, satellites come to mind. What about satellites?
Correct. What we do at Fleet Space is nano satellites. So we are deploying a constellation of very small satellites to backhaul LoRa in space.
So you're gonna be able to manage LoRa from space. I guess that'll solve some of the coverage issues, won't it?
Yeah, no, I will not. We are currently we launched 4 satellites in December. So we have now actually 4 satellites going top of us from Fleet once or twice a day, probably. And now, yeah, it's quite exciting.
I can imagine it must be great to have that kind of be in the beginnings of something so great. So what are you, with the 4 satellites you have up, what are you achieving?
So it's a lot of industrial IoT, so heavy industry. So you think about mining, logistics, oil and gas, big deployments in which we can create private LoRa networks. So imagine a big mining company that wants to deploy 10,000 sensors to measure all sorts of things. We create a LoRa private network that talks to our satellites for like few dollars per year, super, super inexpensive.
That's really, I mean, the cost savings, the cost effectiveness with that kind of a system, well, economies of scale, right?
Absolutely, because you have to think that LoRa is really doing amazingly in cities where 3G is available, but the big change of the industrial revolution is happening in the big industry. So when you go out and it's oil and gas and transport and mining, so how do you bring in these amazing technologies when there is no 3G? So satellites comes in mind as a solution that is possible, but satellites are expensive, and LoRa is a protocol built for 3G and 4G. So yeah, we needed to change a lot of stuff to make it happen for customers, but we did it.
Really, I mean, and when you think of that logistics mountain to climb to get there, and now you've got 4 satellites up, what's the plan? How many total satellites do you plan to have in the system?
So in theory, Internet of Things is very, very easy also for 1 satellite, but our constellation is 100, so it's going to be an interesting journey in the coming years. But nano satellites are amazing. You can launch 4, 5. I'm going to launch 10 this year in a couple of launches, and there you go. You want to make sure that you provide a good coverage for everyone in a good way.
Now, with these nano satellites, they're in relatively low orbits. Is there a maintenance issue? Do you have to replace them as they orbit out or something?
They more or less have a lifetime of a couple of years, and you also want to get rid of them very, very fast. Now, Internet of Things it's a moving train, it's a moving machine in which requirements of customer change a lot. It's literally like your iPhone. You don't want to have your iPhone for a long time. You want to replace it after a couple of years, and they're exactly the same.
Very nice. Now, one of the things you were talking about, mining, agricultural, because the industrial revolution, as you were pointing out, is not just confined to the inside of a building. You're outdoors for a lot of it. Factory farming,
correct.
Factory mining, all of these industrial scale processes.
All the industrial revolution really started in the big, big, big factory. I mean, think about Ford, think about every industrial revolution. This is not less. So smart cities is literally a big change for consumer. But what happened in a big factory in the middle of nowhere, in farming, is a big change in the world. These are like world-changing revolutions for industry, yeah.
Very nice. Now, how do people get in touch with you? Where can they go to find information?
They have a Fleet Space. It's online. And,
so it's fleetspace.com?
It's fleet.space, actually. It's fleet.space. There you go. The company is all over the world. We got most of here. We are at the conference, and most of our customers are here with us. So it's super fascinating. But it's been a very complicated journey because we had to rebuild and destroy text to make this happen for customers. And the applications are amazing. So I think if you Google us, you'll find us right away.
What application have you found to be the most interesting that someone's come to you?
So this month, there are some very big things that industrially are quite amazing, but this month we have a French customer called Hostby. They are now want to deploy sensors to monitor beehives, and there are something like 8 million beehives in California, and 3G is not available, so they want to do it through space. I mean, this is It's insane thinking that,
we got to save the bees.
We got to save the bees, and we got to save them from space. So there are all these applications, but realistically, it's things that you will not be able to connect because they're in the middle of nowhere. but you're able to do because space has become affordable and it's changing completely how you do little things. You know, when you have to monitor a beehive, you cannot spend $800 a month. You have to spend a few dollars a year. And satellites are making the change, so it's pretty cool.
Bees from space. No.
Someone has to do it, but we are gonna do it.
Very cool, Flavia. I'm really glad you took the time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me.